Good morning. I'm Sylvia Huerta, a member of the Board of Trustees of Tahoma UU Congregation. We welcome all who are joining us for a longing of community, the hope for peace, and who are seeking justice. We are a diverse congregation which encourages each one who comes through our doors to find their own truth and belief. We invite all to join us and search for meaning and community, guided by reason, respect for each other, and by love. The wonderful thing about this virtual platform is that we have the opportunity to welcome guests outside of our traditional geographic area. In past Sundays, we have had visitors across this country, even across the ocean to England. So a special welcome to our new friends and our returning friends from near and far. I invite you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Links to video versions of this service will be posted there this week, as well as on the website. You can find all announcements this week in our e-news. On Monday at 7 p.m., the Infinite Cups, our pagan group, hosts Makin Mabon Magic, a healing and holding ritual during COVID-19, a teaching ritual that will be held on Zoom. Please see the event description to prepare items you will use in your home for the ritual. On Tuesday at 7 p.m., parents and other raising or living with children or youth during the COVID time are invited to join Nancy Slocum in our weekly parent drop-in Zoom get-together. It's an opportunity to connect with others, share resources, and get support from one another as we support our children during these challenging times. Next Sunday, September 29th, join us for worship service with guest speaker Eric Halseth, a seminary and colleague of Aaron Badcock's, for his message, and then there were 8. A look at how the 7 UU principles in this current state may or may not address anti-racism and systemic oppression. Look for details of all of our gatherings in the weekly e-news that is posted on our church website. And you can find that link on your website in the chat. Thank you for your ongoing financial support to our congregation that supports these programs, our staff who creates and facilitates the programs, and the connection that we make through our congregation. Now let us prepare to gather in worship.
Good morning. We are called today, from the midst of pain and challenge, we are called to praise the world. From a world that may appear broken, we are called to praise life's moments of joy and grace. From a time that seems to freeze in ongoing exchanges of platitudes and blame, we are called to reach out to those around us, to connect with those who we care about, to make amends with those from whom we are estranged. The world is too fragile. There is too much pain. Let us bring our hearts together this day. Let us praise the mutilated world in all its blessing and all its pain.
Now Nancy will light our chalice for us in the sanctuary. Please join me in the unison reading as she does this, found in your chat. We light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who have gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come.
And we're going to pause here, still looking at our chalice and our bowl of joys and sorrows, and light a special candle this morning, as you might have thought we would, might have expected. We're lighting a candle for the life of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the tremendous gifts that she brought to the world for a life that was honorable, that was full of making the world more fair, making the world a better place. We will miss her and yet still live with all the great things that she did and all that she brought to us. In memory of her, I share this poem, When Great Trees Fall, by Maya Angelou. When great trees fall, rocks on a distant hill shudder, lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory, suddenly sharpened, examines, gnaws on kind words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. She existed. We can be and be better, for she existed. In love and gratitude, we raise up her name, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, for all that she gave and all that she was and all that she helped us to be.
Good morning. My name is Nancy Slocum, and I am the Director of Religious Exploration for Children and Youth here at Tahoma Unitarian Universalist Congregation. And this is our time for all ages, and this is truly a time for all ages. For what I'm about to talk about is, I hope, of interest to every single one of us. So back in February, I started mapping out our religious exploration for the year, for the 2021 church year. Yeah, I start that early, in February. As a matter of fact, the whole staff starts that early. We start putting together a calendar at looking at what's going on. We look, at things like, when does Valentine's Day fall, so we can figure out which weekend we'll have our love service. And I look at when Thanksgiving is so that I can plan for lighter attendance that weekend. And I start filling in the calendar. And today was RE Kickoff Day. Yay, this is the day that we would have our very first classes of the new RE year. We would bring our teachers up during the Time for All Ages, those wonderful people who commit to teaching our children in the classrooms, and we would dedicate them. We would do a ceremony to honor them and to dedicate them and the work that they're doing for the year. It's always an exciting time in RE. And then we would follow it up with a big luncheon of all the families downstairs eating sandwiches and chips and cookies and talking with the parents about the things they need to know for the upcoming year. But I look around here in the sanctuary and it's just me. It's empty. The classroom's downstairs. sit empty. This is not the religious exploration kickoff that I had started planning all those months ago. With the closure of our church building, with our need to refrain from gathering due to this pandemic, we've had to think and rethink about how we can do children's religious exploration this year. And we have a bit of a dilemma. While gathering online, as we do for our service and for some other programs we do, it's an imperfect substitute for gathering together. It does let us come together, and that's really important. We want to keep coming together, being together, sharing our lives during this time. But it's also how school and work is happening for many people. Our kids just went back to school. Many of them are spending 5 days a week in front of their computers in order to attend school. Even kids who are being homeschooled, many times homeschooled kids participate in programs out in the community, and those programs have been substituted with online programming. And screen fatigue is real. Sitting in front of a computer hours out of the day is challenging. We know this. It's hard for me. I've heard lots of adults talking about screen fatigue. Well, for our kids, it's even more challenging, I think. And so as our RE committee gathered via Zoom to talk about how to do RE this year, we had to grapple with this fact. And as we talked about the idea of having classes and would meet at different times via Zoom, I could see all the parents in the Zoom room, their faces getting glummer and glummer, and they looked more and more despondent. And they spoke up. They said, it's going to be hard enough for me to support my child or children to be online for school. I'm not going to force them to sit on Sundays or whenever we schedule our RE classes. I'm not going to make them spend more time at a computer for something that they're only marginally interested in. I just can't imagine adding online RE the way we've been doing RE to our schedules. So we're shifting gears. Instead of offering classes that are grouped together by age and that follow some sort of curriculum, we want to offer RE opportunities that are built around people's interests and that are just as varied. Some offerings might be one-offs, like a class, an art class, or a class about learning how to juggle, or maybe a class that's themed around Star Wars or Harry Potter. It might be a single session, or it could be maybe a class where people delve a little deeper into something, but something that maybe interests them more. We'll try to have classes that provide some kind of movement, some kind of activity, some kind of active participation with by the kids. And there may still be some classes that are more discussion-based. Some of our older kids, I know I was one of these kids when I was 14. I love to sit and talk about lofty ideas. So we may offer some of those classes. This approach really mimics the way we offer adult religious education here at TUC. We put out offerings and people can participate to the extent that they want to and that they're interested. We don't have to go with our model of having a class every Sunday for the kids, because we're not meeting every Sunday with the kids here. We'll offer classes with a general age range. Some might be an all ages group. Some might be open to kids and adults, or some might be more limited. It's for elementary school aged kids or high school kids or preschoolers. Some will be limited in size because they require a certain amount of support and only so many people could be doing that same activity at the same time. Some might just be drop-in classes. Again, very similar to how we do adult religious exploration. And with every class, we will ask the question, how do we weave in our UU principles and ideals? But we acknowledge that one of our most important ideals is that we come together in community, and being together and having fun together is really of great importance. And my goal is for 20 years from now to run into some kid who participated in this program and said, you know what, remember when we had that pandemic and we had all those cool classes going on? I loved that. So to you kids who are listening here, I need something from you. I need your ideas about what you would like for us to do. It'll be online. We still aren't gathering in groups together, but I've already heard requests for art. I've heard requests for Dungeons and Dragons. Are there any Dungeons and Dragons masters out there? Harry Potter? What else? Chat with your parents. Come up with your ideas. Brainstorm some good ideas for me and send them to me via email. Your parents can help you get my email. We want to come up with ideas of things that interest you. And to all you adults who are listening here, remember I said this is for everybody. I am picturing that you are already thinking about what you can offer to this program. It's ambitious, but the more participation we have from the adults in our congregation, the more robust and exciting this program will be. There's a saying in RE circles that the congregation is the curriculum. And I think that is especially important this year as we try to stay connected via our Zoom meetings and such. Let our congregation step up and share themselves with our kids. How can you be a part of it? What are your interests? What are your passions? And you don't have to do it alone. I'm here to help. Okay, if you have a great idea or a thought, maybe it's just a germ of an idea, but you're not envisioning how that might translate into a Zoom class for kids, talk to me about it. That's why you hire me, right? Is to help flesh out these ideas and help make them kid-friendly and kid-appropriate. We can work together on this. We can help with resources. We can help with supplies. You can pair up with other people in the congregation. There may be some groups within the congregation that would like to come up with something. I'm imagining, for instance, our social justice committee might have some ideas of social justice projects to work on with kids. Our newly formed CUPS group, I'm sure that there are things there that can be done. The music committee, our chalice circles, our affinity groups. If you have an idea, please reach out to me. My email is posted all over the place. You can email me with ideas. And I especially want to hear from you, those of you who are thinking, I'd love to share my passion for X, Y, or Z, but I don't know how to do it. Let's brainstorm that together. This is an exciting new approach here at TUC. I love, love, love the idea of the congregation truly creating the curriculum this year, sharing yourselves with our children. It's a ministry, and it's a very important ministry. So we'll move forward. I'm putting it out there, imagining my inbox being flooded with emails from all of you, emails from the kids who have ideas of things they want to have offered, and emails from adults who have ideas of what they can offer to the children of TUC. And together we can create a fabulous year for RE. So another part of the annual planning that I do, remember thinking back to this past February, is that we pick a date when we bless the backpacks and briefcases and other devices that people take with them to school and to work. We do this as a way to help people take a piece of church with them, a piece of the values that they hold on to, that they come here to Tahoma to learn about and to solidify. How do you take that out into the world with you? So now we're not going out into the world so much, we're staying home more. So instead of us doing a tag that we attach to a backpack, I'm encouraging everyone, kids and adults, to take time to create something or put something in your space, your workspace, your school space, wherever you're set up. Take time to put something there that can serve as a reminder to you of your connections here at Tahoma, of your values that you solidify here and that you take with you into the world, the values that you can have surrounding you as you connect with your community via your devices from your home workspace. It might be just a word or a phrase, a poem, a drawing, something from nature, Whatever speaks to you and reminds you of who you are and what your values are and how you want to connect to the world. So I have a couple of pictures here, examples to show. So this is Reverend Linda's desk at home, in her home office. And as we go to the next slide, we can see that up there she has posted, it looks like a little quote of something that's important to her, and the phrase, "Oh, honey." And we're going to hear more about that later in the service. And if you move on to the next slide, as we move on to the next slide, create joy. That's something that I have at my desk, something that I like to remind myself to create joy, both in what I create here at work and also in how I approach my work, to approach it with joy, to create joy in myself as I am doing my work. And as I was driving to work today, here to the sanctuary, the one outing I do in the week pretty much, I was remembering that I have something in my basement that I need to pull out and I need to put in my office, and it is a rock. And it's a rock that I picked up, oh gosh, probably 20 years ago on a backpacking trip. And it's one of the first backpacking trips I had ever done. And it was the first one I had done with my son, where it was just the two of us. I was the only adult along. But he was old enough and had had enough experience backpacking that he was kind of the leader for the trip. And I found this rock that I really liked and it really spoke to me. And I said, "Do you think I should take it home with me?" And he responded in a voice that I think was suspiciously like the voice of his high school or his middle school principal, who had led a backpacking trip that my son had been on. He said, "If you can carry it, you can take it. You can carry it, you can take it." So I have to dig out this rock and I have to put it in my space, because not only does it remind me of trying something new. I was a little nervous about this backpacking trip. A little new, trying something that was a little hard for me, but also a reminder that if I take on a challenge like carrying, it wasn't a tiny rock, it was about this big, taking a rock home and carrying that weight in my backpack, if I take on that weight, I got to be willing to carry it. So that will be going on my desk. So I encourage you all to find something or create something that will help connect you with the world in the way you want to be in the world. So, Zoom fatigue, our computers, right? I'm standing here at my computer. I also pack my phone and my iPad with me kind of whenever I go anywhere. And I have sat down at the computer and thought, oh, at the computer again. But I would like to encourage us all to think about what computers do for us, what our devices do for us. I would like to encourage us to think about all the power of connection that's given us. The other day I said to Tom, my partner, I said, "Can you imagine if this pandemic had happened 30 years ago when none of us had computers in our home? How isolated we would be, how hard it would be?" Because for those of us who can remember back more than 30 years, we didn't used to have all these devices. We had a telephone where you could talk to somebody on the phone, but we didn't have these ways of connecting. And so as we asked at the beginning, before the service, to have your devices with you, we want to take a moment today, rather than blessing backpacks, to bless our electronic devices. So I think we're going to move the spotlight to Linda and me. Is that correct? For the reading of our blessing? Maybe not. So I will start our blessing, and Linda's going to help me with this. This is our blessing of the electronic devices. Dear ones, this week or this month, we start a new school year, a school year like no other. Here we are embarking on a new way of being together and learning together.
Whether you are in pre-K, completing an advanced degree, or using a device to connect with family and friends or with work, your learning in this school year will include using electronic devices in new and creative ways.
So we invite you to take your tablet, Chromebook, or other electronic device and join us in a ritual of blessing to begin this new year and this new way of connecting.
Let us take a moment first to breathe into all the adjustments that we have made in our lives and our education so that we may stay safe and keep our loved ones safe from COVID-19. Let's just take a deep breath together. In and out.
Let's breathe and release our attachment to the way things used to be as we feel the weight of our electronic device in our hands or on our laps. We can use that weight to ground us and center us, making our connection to the earth sturdier.
Let's breathe and release and open our hearts to gratitude for all the creativity, resources, and human labor that went into making this device functional for us.
And let's breathe and find a moment of awe and wonder for the ways that we are invisibly, almost ethereally connected through electricity and Wi-Fi and 3G and 4G and Bluetooth.
Let's breathe and remember that it's not the device that has value. The value is found in the connections which the device allows us to sustain.
Let's breathe and imagine all of those people with whom we have connected virtually in this time of physical distance and hold their presence in our hearts.
As we start to close this blessing, I invite you to take a moment, if you brought a cloth with you, to clean a screen or tidy up a few crumbs from the keyboard so that you can have a clean start to the new school year.
And as I've already spoke about, you can create something that you can have in your space, something that brings you back to the eternal beauty of the divine when the online world gets overwhelming.
My friends, blessings for the new school year, for this next period of time that we are all together, connected virtually. So may it be.
Now is the time we offer our monetary gifts to the work of this congregation. While we are apart, we are suspending our Share the Plate offerings. The money we give is an integral part in keeping our staff who are working tirelessly to keep our community strong and keep our building running during these volatile and unprecedented times. Even though we are physically apart, our gifts are stronger together. You can text or click the link in the chat to make a contribution. Thank you for your consideration to donate. Please join me in the unison reading you can find in the chat or on the next slide. We dedicate ourselves and our offerings to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love we call community, both within and beyond these walls. My friend and I snickered the first time we heard the meditation teacher, a grown man, call himself Honey with a hand placed over his heart to illustrate how we too might become more gentle with ourselves and our runaway minds. It's been years since we sat with legs twisted on cushions, holding back our laughter, and today I found myself crouched on the floor again, not meditating exactly, just agreeing to be still, saying honey to myself each time I thought about my husband splayed on the couch with aching joints and fever from a tick bite. What if he never gets better? Or considered the mess of the next election, or remembered in just a few more minutes I'd have to climb down into the cellar and empty the bucket I left beneath a leaky pipe that can't be fixed until next week. How long do any of us really have before the body begins to break down and empty its mysteries into the air? Oh, honey, I said, for once without a trace of irony or blush of shame, the touch of my own hand on my chest, like that of a stranger, oddly comforting in spite of the facts.
Thank you, Jonina. That poem by James Crew is called Self-Compassion. And I found it this week, and it was truly a blessing for me to find it. What does it mean for us to bless something, anything? I've always liked Marianne Robinson's description from her book, Gilead. The main character in the book, a minister, a man, describes how he and his friends baptized kittens when he was a child, and then reflected more on what that might have meant. Animals, he tells the reader, don't have souls. And so the baptisms were probably not fully helpful, but it still was a blessing, and there was meaning in it. He says there is a reality in blessing. It doesn't enhance sacredness, but it acknowledges it, and there is a power in that. I have felt it pass through me, so to speak. The sensation of it is really knowing a creature. I mean, really feeling its mysterious life and your own mysterious life at the same time. Blessing is about a recognition of another and yourself. It's about our mysterious life, about really knowing another. It's about connection, and it's about praise. I don't think there's ever been a time when we haven't needed a blessing of some sort or another. They come to us all the time, too. These connections, these moments of feeling, of that mystical something. You know them. You experience those blessings. A trill of laughter from a room away from you as a beloved delights in something unseen. That warmth of the sun that you might feel as you step from the shade. A full, deep breath after days of smoke. Feeling the person in your arms relax into a hug, knowing the safety of that embrace. Who hasn't known at least some of these blessings? Getting connected to our bodies, to the companions who share this life with us, our connection to the natural world and all of its difficulties and blessing. Difficulties and beauties. Now that's the blessing. We probably should be naming these as much as we can, recognizing what upholds us always. I remember a day many, many years ago in a Catholic church in Vermont, waiting for a service to start and sitting at the front and watching one of the folks from the congregation come out of a side door and go, as he walked across, he paused where the where the host, the sacraments were kept. And he paused with his candle lighter and bowed. And I thought, wow, he's bowing to what is holy. And he got a little further along and he paused and he bowed in front of the cross. And he got a little further along and he began lighting candles, and on his way back out, bowed to the cross, and then bowed again to the sacristy where the sacraments were kept. And I thought to myself in that moment, how does he know when to stop bowing? How does he know when to stop bowing to the beauty and the wonder and the blessing that surrounds us always? The light was coming in from a side window that was all yellow glass, so the light was just golden. This was during Lent, so it was early spring. And there were babies in the back who were burbling, and there were elders who were having conversations. How do you know when to stop blessing? It was a moment of clarity for me, but I don't know how it is for you. I forget this all the time, moment on moment. I forget it and have found it even more difficult in these days. And I so want to stop saying in these days, but how can I? In these days, as the political world just heaves nonstop, and I am caught by the latest horrors of fires and smoke and hurricanes and disease, I forget every day. If we don't take time to stop and recenter, stop and say it aloud, if we don't dig into our hearts to lift up what is healing and holy, what is good, what we love, we can forget. That's why we have in years past offered the little luggage tags that had some of our values on them to bless our backpacks or computer bags early in the school year, so that what we love, what keeps us connected and focused, stays with us day on day on day. It is a critical tool for life, I think, to find those ways to be aware and blessed, to feel blessed and to be blessed, to live in connection and awareness. So now that we've blessed our devices that connect us, I want us to bless ourselves. And I'm going to read that poem that Jonina shared again for us to kind of settle back into, to listen to again, and then I'll have just a brief little moment for us to pause. Self-compassion. My friend and I snickered the first time we heard the meditation teacher, a grown man, call himself Honey, with hand placed over his heart to illustrate how we too might be more gentle with ourselves and our runaway minds. It's been years since we sat with legs twisted on cushions, holding back our laughter. And today, I found myself crouched on the floor again, not meditating exactly, just agreeing to be still, saying, honey, to myself each time I thought about my husband splayed on the couch with aching joints and fever from a tick bite. What if he never gets better? Or considered the mess of the next election, or remembered that just in a few minutes more, I'd have to climb down to the cellar and empty the bucket beneath a leaky pipe that can't be fixed until the next week. How long do any of us really have before the body begins to break down and empty its mysteries into the air? Oh, honey, I said, for once without a trace of irony or blush of shame, the touch of my own hand on my chest like that of a stranger, oddly comforting in spite of the facts. And so I invite you, my friends, in this moment to offer yourself that blessing, that movement of compassion. Close your eyes if you are comfortable doing so, and place your hand on your chest and murmur an endearment to yourself. Oh, honey, you can say. And then say it again. And say it again. Without irony, without shame. Offer yourself this blessing. And so may it be that we are blessed.
Several years ago, I was reading a newsletter. It's a newsletter written for people who have Parkinson's disease. I used to work with seniors and disabled adults, and so I would get such newsletters and find lots of good information and help me understand the disease processes. This one particular issue spotlighted a woman who is living with Parkinson's disease. And I was taken with the grace with which she was coping. And one quote, one thing she said in this article has stayed with me for years. And what she said was this: well, I just keep doing what I can until I can't. And then I do something else. I just keep doing what I can until I can't, and then I do something else. And I have had this pop into my head on many occasions as I get older and my body doesn't do some of the things that it used to be able to do. I remind myself, just keep doing what you can until you can't, and then do something else. And I tell myself, I think this is a hint for graceful aging. I was going to say successful, but I'm not sure how we talk about successful aging. I don't know exactly what successful is, but to be as graceful and to settle into it the way I can. Just keep doing what I can until I can't, and then do something else. And as Linda and I were preparing for this service and talking about losses we've had during this pandemic and our restrictions, and especially recently with the smoke where we couldn't even leave our house safely, I thought this is a good quote to remember in times like these. Maybe the things we can't do are temporary, but it is no less a loss for us. And so I share these words, a reminder. Just keep doing what we can do until we can't, and then do something else.
I want us to bless each other and bless these connections that we have as well. I have a blessing written by my colleague, Karen Johnson, that I invite us to work through. This is going to be another point where you can lean back and close your eyes and just be aware of the blessings that you have, and be aware of all that there is in our world right now. So again, a time of quiet together with these words. We will get through, not unscathed to be sure. Too much has been already lost. Too many beloveds have been lost. So not unscathed, but a new kind of whole, the kind that emerges only from the going through it, from the wrestling with it, from the demanding something in exchange for what we lose, making clear what we claim, making clear what we demand in return is not personal gain or revenge, but a blessing. Shaped by our loves and our losses, our sorrows and our joys, our failures and our triumphs, a blessing. Shaped by our bodies and minds, by our singing and dancing, by our praying and listening, by the beauty we persist in co-creating and the justice we insist upon, a blessing. Shaped by the dedication to the values that shape us, unremitting compassion, a joyful and radical inclusion, a preferential option for the poor and marginalized, a deep and wide dismantling of white supremacy, honoring the great mystery of life with appreciation and humility, and with a commitment to collective liberation that frees all, a blessing for all, my friends. Let me say again what I started to say. Let us bless and keep one another. Let kindness rule in our hearts and compassion rule in our lives until we meet again. Amen and blessed be.
Now, please join me in our unison reading that you can find in the chat as Nancy extinguishes our flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing blessing song comes from Patty McPhee today.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and by this